Good morning. Linder Road family, let's get ready for class. We got an exciting time. We've got some guest speakers with us this morning. As many of you know, we support a native minister in Kavingo, Kenya by the name of Douglas Kioko. And Douglas was actually baptized by one of the gentlemen that's with us this morning. The Memorial Road congregation has spent probably 3 years getting their visas in line for them to come to the States. They have been here since June 14th. They are George, I got your name right every other time, Onchangwa, and Michael Mutai. George is the director of the Nairobi Great Commission School. Nairobi is the largest city in Kenya with 5.5 million people. Michael is the chairman of the board of that school, and he is also the director of MEDS, which stands for Mombasa Educational and Development Services. So he lives in Mombasa, which only has 2.2 million people, which is still more people than the entire state of Idaho. But we're glad to have them with us this morning. The organizations they work with are not elderships, but they work with all the churches throughout Kenya to help support them and encourage them. And one of the organizations they work with is Healing Hands, which is a Church of Christ organization headquartered in Nashville, but it also has an office at Nairobi Great Commission School, and they go around distributing seeds in villages and drilling wells, water wells, and so they do a lot of good works in places where churches have been established and so forth. So we are looking forward to hearing from them. I don't want to give any more of their information because I don't want to step on their toes, and I told them I would keep this short, and I've been 2 minutes, so I'm going over. I also want to invite everybody to please be back this evening. We have with us another guest speaker, someone we will be supporting at AIM, Adventures in Missions. His name is Nathan Odell. He's from the Idaho Falls congregation, and he's been with us this weekend, and he will be speaking to us tonight. So Nathan, why don't you stand up real quick, and so everybody can see you. So this is Nathan. He'll be speaking to us tonight. So everybody please try and come back tonight to hear Nathan. So I am at this point going to turn it over to Michael and George. I'm going to keep this mic because you're going to need to listen very closely. They speak excellent English, but it does have a little bit of an accent. So one time they told me they had one or two students at the extension schools, and what they were saying was 102 students. So sometimes little details kind of slip through. So I will make sure if I can to help them, but they're wonderful speakers. I'm going to turn it over to them. And the first set of slides will be the ones on Kavingo. I think you got that queued up, so good.
So, good morning, church. Good morning. Great. This is a great opportunity to be here today. I want to thank God for giving me the opportunity so that we can be here. I want to begin by saying that Kioko came to us in 2009 when he was seeking a job. He wanted to be employed as a teacher in our school. Basically, we ran a school that was started in 1996 with four children, 2 of my own and 2 others. And so in 2009, we had around 200 children who were studying in the school. It is a junior school from young babies to grade 8. That was the school then. So Kioko came, wanted to be given the opportunity to teach. Apparently, and this is a story I heard because I didn't see him, he was supplying water to the school with a hand cart. And then he realized that this school has, they wanted teachers. So when he came, we gave him the opportunity. I gave him the opportunity to teach. Together with the board that was running the school, we sat and gave him the opportunity to teach. In a period of 2 years, Kyoko was able to prove that he was a hardworking man. We gave him the opportunity to be the deputy head teacher of the school. I think his story began there, that he was seeing us doing mission, going out to preach. He got the interest. And at the time that he was also promoted to be the principal of the school, it is the time that he decided to do Bible so that he can also be reaching out. Prior to that, of course, I had preached to him in the course of his studies and accepted the gospel and was baptized. And we worked together, and he was serving in the church that we were in various ways. Actually, if you came to our premises, you would think that Kyoko was the administrator. You would think that this man is actually the administrator. Even there are things that he did very well. So I think that's why he was able to be given the opportunity to rise. And from there, he enrolled at Nairobi Great Commission School.
Got it on.
Okay.
There you go.
Yes. So when he enrolled at the Nairobi Great Commission School, he did his diploma and now was able to share, to move in mission. And what we are seeing right here is more of his appreciation to Linder Church of Christ for standing with him. He was able to teach within the church and preach, go to missions, and at some point he felt like he needed a congregation at his home church. And that is what Kavingo Church of Christ is all about. I would leave some part to George, which is going to share about the connection between his father and how his father came to be baptized. But for him, he is very thankful. He appreciates what has the connection that he has with Linder, and he is thankful. Sorry. In Eastern, Kavingo Church of Christ is in Eastern Province of Kenya. When we began the work in Mombasa in sharing out the gospel, it was all about Mombasa, the counties around Mombasa, and eastern part. And so, why Eastern? Because in Mombasa, people come from Eastern and they are there in Mombasa seeking jobs. But then when they go home, they have to find where to worship. And for Kyoko, there was no Church of Christ in his home. And so when he went, he would try to find one, and there is one that was 50 kilometers away. So he would have to travel a long journey. And so the outreach to Kavingo began in that manner, that we go following members who were in Mombasa to start congregations there so that they can be able to worship God freely in a good way. And so Eastern is one of those areas. If you study the people of Mombasa, many are from Eastern. Right now, we've started 3 congregations in Eastern, the third being Kavingo, because of the people who are in Mombasa. Kyoko, when he went to Eastern, he began to work with teams. He could not do it alone. One team is Nairobi Great Commission School, which George will share. The other team is the Revival of Missions. This is a tool that we use to revive the concept of preaching in the churches. And so Revival of Mission is one. The other one is Healing Hands, which also George will share. These teams work with him to reach out to the communities in Eastern. And when we talk about Eastern, it is one of the largest areas in the country that maybe is more like this place in terms of rain. You know, it is there is hardly rain. Rain comes for, I think, 2 months in a year. So that is the area we refer to it as Eastern. That is Kyoko. Kyoko has a wife, Eunice. In fact, after his baptism, he shared with me that where he was, they didn't want to help him unite with his wife in the sense of marriage. And so we worked very well, and that is Eunice, his wife. Right now, they are blessed with children. The firstborn is a boy, the secondborn is also a boy, and even the thirdborn. But they are doing well. Mr. John Guku is a person who does a lot of agriculture. He's a minister as well as someone that farms and does a lot of work in the farm. In fact, the production that Kyoko has made in his farm, he's been assisted with skills by this man. He's a great man. Jonas is a great man. And he's one of the teams, the people that Kyoko works together with to enhance his ministry in Eastern. Then we have Christopher Mwendo. Christopher is an evangelist. In fact, Chris has really impacted Kavingo Church. He works at Kavingo in terms of outreach, preaching within the congregation, and much of the work that Kyoko does, they work together with Christopher. Christopher is one of the team members, just like Jonas, Christopher. We have 2 more. Mutinda is currently studying Bible and missions in our extension school in Mombasa. So he is an outgoing minister and preacher that works with Kyoko together. Then we have Lawrence. Lawrence is a minister within a congregation close, but as a team member, they do outreach, they train others, they work together very well. Lawrence is a great man. He is also in training in Mombasa to be full-time and to serve well. He's training at the extension school in Mombasa. I think this is the last one. Benson Kisilu is also a young man. He's also in training. Apparently, when Kyoko went to Kavingo, he realized that many of these evangelists had no training, and they were just there, and they were available. So he sought for them the training at our extension school. These are the congregations that work with Kyoko. We have Kavingo, with Mwendo, Kako, with Lawrence, then Royal, which is with Daniel, Yaumba, with Sebastian, and Wote is currently, Kyoko is currently beginning that congregation. Maybe in November, many of our evangelists will be gathering there to usher in this new congregation. And that is the work of World Bible School that he does by reaching out to people, giving out the material lessons, and soon we will be beginning the congregation. I think the prayer is all about what you as a child can do to pray that these works can go on well. He's praying that you can support in terms of prayers so that many congregations can be established within that area. Apparently, it is a place where there are denominations, but they have done a lot of harm to the members, to the people around. And now they are realizing that Church of Christ is all about the Word of God as they read in the Bible and as they see it themselves, not just someone coming to talk about it and go and you can't find. So it's all about the Bible. So let's pray for them. Pray for Kyoko and the team that they can do this work. Well, I will ask George to come and give the father story and finish up with the other aspect. Karibu, George.
Thank you, Michael. Yeah, good morning, church. Mike and I, we are so much blessed to be in your midst this morning, and we praise God. We are not eldership, we are not a leadership that controls congregations, but we coordinate to mobilize resources and teams for missions. As I get to talk about Nairobi Great Commission School, we got to take Kyoko to teacher training college. That must be said that we helped him to go to attain his accreditation as a teacher in the country of Kenya. Thank you, Michael, for that. Now, over there, we have Nairobi Great Commission School, which is a missions school established in 1990 by North American missionaries from the Lord's Church. Basically, the school was established to be able to train, number one, to train ministers for the purposes of growing the young church. Then, when the North American missionaries were exiting the stage, when their time came, we didn't have trained nationals, and that is why the school was established. Getting stuck here a bit of my arrow is taking.
Should be the other one, I think.
Yeah.
Let's see, make sure it's on.
Yeah. Yeah, it should be. It should be. Oh, thank you. Thank you. He's a good man. He's taken good care of us and his wife. Keeps on taking care of us. That's a map of Kenya. It's found in East Africa. And we speak Swahili and English. It was a British colony. That's the map of, the property of Nairobi Great Commission School, the facility as it is. It used to be a guest house for North American missionaries. When they exited the stage, they donated the property to the school where we train missions and missionaries. Now, that is the founding mission of the school. Technically, we provide transformative training in church planting and maturing towards the unity of Christ. Then ours is to equip ministers and missionaries for the work of missions and church. Now, the school has 9 board members. We have 2 ladies, and Brother Michael is the board chair. And of course, we have 16 part-time lecturers. There might be more than 16 because we keep on using various volunteers from time to time. And make sure if you do not hear me correctly, you ask me to repeat that. And we have 7 volunteers, of course, from across the globe, some from North America, some from within the country, 9 staff members, and we have 43 students. There were 43, 3 of them have gone to, have finished their coursework, and I have now 40 in Nairobi. Nairobi Great Commission School has 8 extension schools, what you guys call satellite schools, that 7 of them are in Kenya, 1 is in Tanzania, Mwanza, Tanzania. And we have 102. Is that correct now, sir? 102 students, not 102. I need to know that. That's our certificate of registration in Kenya. And right now we are moving to a new registration because the government of Kenya canceled all the registrations for Bible schools because there was a radicalization that took place where 600 people were radicalized to fast and die so that they can see God, and 700 of them died. So the government of Kenya said, no, we need to stop this nonsense. Let's register the schools anew and vet all the ministers. And my brother, thank you so much for hearing that you want to be a missionary. That breaks my heart. Of course, these are photos for board members. The gentleman over there, Michael, and this face in Dr. Susi. She teaches in one of the public university in Kenya, and she also teaches with our school. And Jacob Randieki is the director of extension schools, which I said are drawn across East Africa. Mustafa Masood was born in a Muslim family, but he converted, he accepted the Lord and is working with me as the registrar of the school. Madam Rose, the secretary. Tom Ondicho. Tom Ondicho is the man who baptized Kyoko's father. I'll talk about Kyoko's father very briefly. And that's Madam Perez, the librarian. We have Ekitares and John, the accountant. I don't like accountants when they keep on asking. And that's a class session at Nairobi Great Commission School. We teach computers so that our students can be able to access e-resources and be able to do some sort of research to ascertain what they are talking about. And that's a class. We have volunteers. That's Madam Linder from Texas originally, but now she resides in Kenya. She's a volunteer English teacher. That's the staff after a class. No. That's a student after graduating after a children ministry class. And we have also another volunteer teaching that ministry, Madam Carl Dean Thompson. She's very helpful with the school. That's the end of our class. Now, why is the school important? Like I said, the school was initiated or established to be able to take care of the churches. We are talking about close to 2,000 congregations in Kenya and East Africa. And partly we had students from Ghana. One student came from Ghana, Zambia. We have students from Tanzania. We have students from Uganda that have trained. There is no single country in the region of East Africa that you can go and fail to meet a student from a graduate of Nairobi Great Commission School. And they have gone out there in South Sudan, Tanzania, to be able to plant congregations. And you look at it that we have been able to graduate 2,200 ministers and some sort of church workers from that program, because we train both men and women. And women are trained for children ministry, for community work, and for women ministry. And some of our programs, some of our graduates have gone out there to be able to plant establish academies like what Michael is doing in Mombasa, and several others that are doing this work in Kenya. In 2023, I partnered with Daystar University to be able to better our skills in terms of updating our ministers in what is happening out there. And the university has been able to give us some scholarships for a master's degree and community development and counseling. Mike and I went to Daystar University for our first degrees in various areas. I went for counseling, he went for Bible and missions, of course. And we also do workshops with them because of the skills that they do have. These are highlights for 2023. We send our students out for churches, to churches and parachurch organizations, and that's where they're able to get to do their internships and practicum. And in 2023, we baptized 105 souls into Christ using our students and internships and open opportunities where we send them. And we praise God. In 2023, we had a graduation where we had 90, a record 90 graduates from our program, 20 from the main campus in Nairobi. This is a 2-year program for Bible and missions, residential in Nairobi. But in our extension schools, it is school-based in terms of you come to class for 2 weeks, another 3 months or 2 months you come back again. It takes a little bit over 2 years, maybe 3 years before one graduates. And then 70 came from our extension schools, and that 6 of them were trained in IT. And of course, this is 2024 highlights. We had 21 freshmen. We had 18 ongoing students and successful church plant near Mount Kilimanjaro. Mount Kilimanjaro is at the border of Kenya and Tanzania. We were able to plant a congregation out there, reaching out to one of our graduates, and we always thank God for that. And this year, the last 2 weeks of May, we had practicum and internship, and our students were able to baptize 86 souls into the Lord, and we praise God for that. Those are some of the activities of our students baptizing, and that's the academy where Michael directs in Mombasa, and that's where Kioko was the principal. In fact, right in front of that black van, that's where was Kioko's office until last year. He moved to Kavingo. Those are baptisms during one of our practicums this year with our students. And those are baptisms in various places where they were. Ladies and gentlemen, church, we are trying to come up with a guest house at Nairobi Great Commission School. The guest house is basically a local mechanism for sustainability. We are talking about how then can the school create resources locally to be able to support their programs. And we are in a very prime property in Nairobi. That is where you can find the private home of the current president and the former president. Probably he has some houses and maybe 2 or 3 Supreme Court magistrates. And the guest house is going to house married couples. We are doing 16 rooms. 3 are spared for married couples, and 3 are spared for visiting volunteer faculty members. And the rest of the 10 rooms will be up for hiring to various people who come to Giraffe Center, a tourist attraction center in Kenya. We are separated by a road, and hundreds of them come to visit, and at least 50 of them will need a place to sleep. We thought like this is an opportunity to be able to capitalize and have an investment that be able to get income for the school. We are supported by Memorial Road, not Memorial Road, but Brentwood Hills Church of Christ in Nashville, Tennessee, and Stillwater Church of Christ in Stillwater, and Fresno College Church of Christ in Fresno. But again, their resources keeps on diminishing. That's why I came up with this project. This project, basically, that's the map of our school, or our property. And on my left, that's Giraffe Center and Giraffe Manor. For you to stay at Giraffe Manor, you have to spend $300 USD to 1,000. Not very many people can afford. Then at Giraffe Center, it's about between $150 to $200. We are looking forward to make our guest house very affordable to many people. Those are certificates for the City Council of Nairobi. They have approved our investment. And when I was sharing this with some of our friends, a friend in Memorial Road gave us a pledge of $100,000. $100,000. I'm trying to configure this. You know, we think in Swahili and speak in English. I'm trying to configure this. $100,000. Is that correct, sir?
That's correct.
And then he said, I will also look for another man who can give you another 100,000 USD. My budget is 400 USD. That will do all the rooms plus the furnishing. And so the staff members and the board have contributed 11,000 USD. So with the pledge of 200,000 USD and the contribution at Nairobi, so we have 211 USD. I'm praying for the deficit. You can participate as a prayer partner at Nairobi Great Commission School. You can be a volunteer in any area teaching. My brother, if you feel like I have an opportunity to go, you can speak to our students. You can connect online and get to speak to our chapel. You can do a short course for 1 week. You can teach online. You can become a prayer partner. This is very important for us, prayer. You can also, I've talked about this, speaking about the chapel. You can support a student like Keoko for $100 a month. That takes care of his fee, tuition fee, and living expenses at a residential program. You can write encouragement emails to the staff, to the students, to the brother, to the missionaries. Let's connect. Then we can be able to inspire one another. Those are some of the pictures from Giraffe Center. Friends, let me wind up with Kyoko's story. Kyoko came to my school and said, George, after graduation, I want to face my community. And I want to face the community with the gospel. I partner with Healing Hands International, Reviving of Missions, and Nairobi Great Commission School. He said, give me a minister who can confront my community. I gave him Tom Ondicho. They went there for 3 years. Tom Ondicho is my staff who works in missions and facility manager. They went there for 3 days. They engaged his father. Kyoko has not given me permission, but I want to share this. He may not. His father was training to become a magician, a witch doctor. And when he was converted and baptized by our staff member, it was a miracle in that village. And that is what caused the waves around. And thereafter, we came back to baptize, to do missions. With the reviving of missions, we never baptized anybody for a week. And we were resisted terribly. Then we came back again. That's when we baptized 14 people. And we began a small congregation under the shade of a tree. Ami, thank you so very much for connecting us with Linder of the Church of Christ. And then we connected resources, mobilized resources. Memorial Road, a friend in Memorial Road, the same friend I talked about, gave us money to do a building for the school. Then when we went around, because Healing Hands has an office in my school, I told them, I have seen the place, they receive very little rainfall. Just like Michael said about you people, Idaho. Do we say Idaho or Idaho?
Idaho.
Idaho. I'm school here. And then they said, they don't have enough rainfall. Then they said, George, what do we do? He said, please, let's sink a borehole, a water well. We were told not a borehole, it's a water well. And then Healing Hands said, we can do that for you, George, and for the community. So ours is to plant a seed. Great Commission School and Reviving of Missions, we plant a seed, the gospel seed, one seed. And Healing Hands comes with seeds, water, food relief distribution center, and teaching agriculture and planting several seeds. That's what we do as a partnership, mobilizing resources and teams for missions. Thank you so much, Linder Church of Christ, for partnering with us. We continue to plead for His grace to connect us in Him. If we had
any questions? It gets a little confusing because they've got multiple schools. They've got schools of preaching for men, but they also have academies for students. The academy that Kyoko was a director of had 620 students. About half were orphans that they raised money for them to be able to go to school. Lots of orphans there. Both of these men have their own natural children, but they've adopted orphans. Kyoko has his natural children, but he has adopted orphans. So it's something that they see the need for when they work with somebody that works on their staff and she dies and she has 2 children. What's their response? They take them in and adopt them. So, these men have servant hearts. They have a love for the Lord, and I'm glad that we can help in the small way that we can with Kyoko. He saw the need to go out back to his hometown. And now they have how many members there at?
220 members.
220 members. It started with a campaign where they went and they baptized 14. One of those was his father, who had been in training to replace the witch doctor in that village. And they said there was a lot of, it sounded like he said assistance. It was resistance to them. That's why the second time they went back, the witch doctor had turned the people against him, but his father was baptized, and then later with time, the people saw that they loved him because they were coming in to put in a well and to plant gardens and do things like that for the community. And they weren't just preaching the gospel, and these guys preach the gospel. They are Restoration, first century church Christians. And that's what they promote all throughout Kenya. So it's something we can be proud to be a part of. Let me come over there.
I definitely got to check on 2,200 for the Eastern African region.
That's and Eastern African region is Kenya, Tanzania, what part of Sudan? South Sudan.
South Sudan.
South Sudan and a couple of other countries. That's yes, over 2,000 now.
2,000.
The Nairobi Great Commission School is all in English. It's in this huge metropolitan area. When you go to Mombasa and you go to Meds, that's done, if they can't understand English, it's in English, but a lot of them are coming out of villages, so they do it in Swahili, which is the Eastern African common language. And they take the people where they're at. If they don't have an education, they teach the classes in a way they'll understand until they can bring them up. If they find a man that has started a church in a village and he doesn't have a lot of training, they will encourage him to come to Nairobi or Mombasa to get more training and become doctrinally sound. And then they'll send them back to their village as sound gospel preachers. So they're doing great work there, but they're not trying to be over these congregations. They are trying to assist these congregations. They know that churches of Christ, each congregation is autonomous, each congregation is independent, and they understand that. They just want to support these congregations. So now this, if they build this guest house he's talking about, it's like he said, it's in a wonderful place. It's next to the president's home. It's next to the former president's home. It's also by a home. It's in the area of Nairobi called Karen. Is that a smaller town?
Correct.
And that's where the Danish Baroness Karen Blixer lived. Probably doesn't mean anything to you. The book and the movie Out of Africa is about her. Starred some minor actors, Meryl Streep and Robert Redford. Her home is right by the Nairobi Great Commission School, where that movie was filmed. So this African or giraffe, what do you call it?
Giraffe Center.
Center is across the street. And you can stay there, and you can, from your second story room, the giraffes will come up and you can just feed them, you know. Kind of like going to Disney World. Anyway, they've got a wonderful property there. And they are trying to get away from having to rely on support from places like Nashville and Memorial Road in Oklahoma. And so that's why they're trying to build this, so that it can generate income for the school. So we don't normally support building programs, but this does look like a worthy cause, and they are a long ways towards raising that money. This is a man that has a lot of business acumen before he became a gospel minister, and so he has put together a very good plan for what they're doing there. We're not promoting that at this point about the guest house. We just wanted to hear about Kyoko and the work they're doing there, but we may decide at some point to help them with that. So, other questions? Yes, Don. Good question. What's the government's response to that? Now, let me preface before you answer his question. When he said the church canceled the certificates for all the schools, those were all schools, not just Church of Christ. And that group that that encouraged people to go out and into the jungle and fast, and 700 people died from fasting, that was a group that wasn't the Church of Christ. But because that happened, they said, we have to get control over this, so the only way we can get control is we're going to cancel all the registrations for all the schools, and we will monitor them as we accept their certifications. They have since been recertified, but that way they could keep some of these radical groups, and they say, no, you don't get a certification. You don't have the approval of the government. We don't want you killing our citizens. But so repeat your question now that I interjected that.
The government is very supportive of the church in Kenya. It has never in any other time hindered our activities, except they are trying now to assess correctly that the right people in the sense of not radicals, get to access the pulpit, whether you are Church of Christ or these other denominations, which is something that we applaud. There was someone there.
Yes. The question is, what kind of education is being offered at these academies for the students that include orphans and genders? I think it's boys and girls.
Yeah, it's a mixed school for Mombasa, boys and girls, and it's general education from all subjects that you can, science, humanities, and all the subjects that are taught. We are moving to what we call in Kenya the competence-based curriculum, running away from the traditional British curriculum that assesses you after 8 years. And we are beginning to assess students specifically to where they have interest in areas of passion.
All children's academies in Kenya, one of the requirements of the government is they have to have uniforms. Well, because they have a lot of orphans, they can't afford uniforms. But they've got some volunteer ladies that for the cost of the materials, they sew uniforms for these children. And so they get donations to pay for the materials, and then they sew these uniforms. So there's a lot of good work that goes on there. Good question.
You have someone there.
Okay, Shelby.
Thank you. I can't project my voice very well. If I understand right, the congregation that you attend near these activities is about 200 people. Is that correct?
220 people for Kioko in Kavingo.
Okay. Is there in the future plans for an eldership to be over that congregation?
Thank you so much. What we do, we train ministers, we mobilize resources, and point out teams to missions. Those are the things that we are doing to train churches to have their own eldership and have their own autonomy within their locality.
The congregations, as they grow and they have men that qualify as elders, they do appoint elders. So some congregations are not at the maturity level to have elders, and some of them are. I think that's what he's wanting to know was, does that congregation have elders today?
They do not have elders because in our assessment, we are helping them, the men that have been there, to be prepared to take eldership and council roles in the future. That's what we are doing as a school, helping them.
This is the man that likes, he got this shirt in Stillwater. This is the cowboy shirt for OSU.
We'll talk about that.
He's not going to give you this one, though. This is his gift from Stillwater. So
it came from someplace you might be knowing. Thank you, sir.
How long has Douglas been at Kavinga? Short time, but...
He started working there this year. But he has been full-time this year, but he has been coordinating for another year from Mombasa.
While he was coordinating going to Kavinga was when we got in touch with him and decided to start supporting him when he actually moved there. So we've been supporting Douglas since the very beginning of this year when he first moved to Kavinga. So, and so they've gone from from no church there to 220 members in a little less than a year. Yes, question over here. Yes, Patty. Good question.
We have a boarding facility within the school. Those that are completely not able to trace any relative, they stay in the school. And the school works with CRF, Christian Relief Fund, that keeps helping them from time to time, and us.
The question was for our streaming people was where do the orphans that go to the academy live, and they do have boarding facilities there. They leave from here Monday morning and go to Amarillo and meet with some of the board members of the Christian Relief Fund, which is a Church of Christ organization also. Then they will leave from there on Thursday, fly from Amarillo to Dallas to Kenya via Paris, London?
Yes, Paris.
Paris.
Yeah.
So,
Also, some live within our homes.
Yes.
There are some of us
Some
who are
members.
accommodated, like I take 10 to 15. So those who cannot go to anywhere after school, we accommodate them so that they can continue in their studies.
About 150 are hosted in the school. And thank you so much, church. You are welcome to Nairobi. You are welcome to Kavingo. You are welcome to Africa. We are your brothers.
they've been working hard on getting Richard to go teach a class there, so you better be careful. He may end up in Kenya, at least temporarily. So thank you. Thank you very much. We're dismissed now.